Well, Mr. Nick Zanaboni is not here today. Apparently, he's at a croquet match, so he had to bypass the show this week. So you're stuck looking at me. But either way, I'm still going to welcome you to the On Deck Circle podcast here, live stream if you're watching it live. Of course, powered by Fantasy Six Pack. Happy to have you. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time here chit-chatting because nobody wants to hear me run my mouth. So I'm just going to bring in Mr. Beckner. Jason, how we doing, my friend?
Dave, good to see you again. Another week here talking Dynasty baseball.
Back to our typical Tuesday night. So
yeah.
I mean, we had an extra day off this week.
I almost forgot about that we did do Monday last week.
I forgot about it too, actually. So I know that now you know who our special guest is.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
So you're excited now? Did I do well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Before he comes on, I want to give you the opportunity to talk any shit about him. That way he doesn't have a chance yet to respond. So if you want to say anything bad about him, now's the time.
I have nothing to say at this moment. No comment.
No comment? That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. Well, I guess there's no sense in prolonging the inevitable here. Let's go ahead and get this show ruined right off the bat. So it is, of course, none other than my... I don't know, good friend. Am I contractually obligated to lie like that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So welcome my good friend, JP, better known as Dap Scout, the self-proclaimed funniest man
yes.
in all of fantasy baseball. So
my mom says so. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. And I trust your mom's opinion.
I do too. I mean, she's amazing. She's never
lady.
heard or read any of my stuff, but I'm sure she backs me fully.
I mean, this is the easiest way for her not to be disappointed.
Yeah. This is the only thing she's ever been.
Keeps expectations high.
Right. So JP here is one of the new additions to the Fantasy Six Pack staff. He's trying to take over as most handsome, but as you can tell, that's obviously not going to happen.
Thank you.
But why don't you talk a little bit about what you write?
Okay.
Tell people about whatever you want to tell people. I'll give you 87 seconds. Go.
So I have been given this nice little warm corner of Fantasy Six Pack, which is the Dap Scouts corner. I kind of just go on little rants as an intro every time. We covered Wardle and the awesomeness that is the last article, and then I kind of just go off into anything I find really kind of important for fantasy baseball. I try to cover stuff that's going to help you win, but more importantly, the stuff that's going to help you kind of fly under the radar and look really cool when you try to pick up somebody in a bar. Because who doesn't want to know about OPS when you're picking up some random stranger? And I use a lot of my deep Major League Baseball connections. Some of my sources include a lot of anonymous people, such as my mailman, the person that fills my cup at Starbucks. So I use all that kind of data points to really give you kind of a deep dive into fantasy and my mind, which I'm sorry about.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good read. I do like the fact that we keep it baseball centric, but it's also entertaining. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I invited JP onto the team, we were kind of talking about, like what we wanted him to do. And he was kind of running through, the rough idea of it. And I thought, you know what? That's exactly the guy that I know. So, that's going to be a very entertaining read. So if you haven't checked his stuff out, I don't blame you. But I would suggest that you hop on fantasysixpack.net and give him a look. If you're disappointed, I don't know what to tell you. You should never take advice from me in the first place. But fair enough. So
I'm just glad somebody brought attention to the Wordle world, because it's not like I haven't seen any of it anywhere at all. So
well, Jason,
I'm glad that
if you want to, every day I'll be happy to send you my completed Wordle. All you have to do.
Please. That's one thing that my Twitter timeline's missing is Wordles.
Yeah.
Is it?
You know what I mean? I need it in my life.
So no, Dave, you don't get Dave.
Matter of fact, hold on.
No,
I'm gonna send it to you right now, Jason.
Because here's the thing, Jason. Right,
ready.
I wrote that article. Dave had no idea what it was, and then I go, "Well, here's the link to it," because he's trying to find an app, right? Of course, everything's like Wordle on it, but it's not.
This is not.
It's official.
This isn't true. No,
and
this
Dave
is not true.
has done nothing but send me like his scores, like a 6-year-old who wants me to put it up on a refrigerator.
That's not true.
Really?
That's not true.
Are you serious? Really? I could just go through and just show you. And it's ridiculous. It's like, please, Dad, show me affection. Take me to a baseball game. Pat me on the head. I'm like, no, Dave, stop.
I did send him my Wordle today. That is true. That is true. That is true.
I am still in the dark on a Wordle, so
you might want to. I don't know. Just keep it that way, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I plan on it. That's the takeaway from that.
So here, that's a great transition to our next segment. People are in the dark, I think, about Fantrax still. I mean, back in the day, I've played on I played on ESPN, which is fine, but I found that it lacked a little bit. We played on CBS Sports, which basically sucked. And then we moved to Fantrax. And honestly, I don't know what more I would ask of Fantrax as far as a platform. You can play, however you want to play, Dynasty, Keeper, Redraft, Best Ball. Pretty much any setting that you could reasonably think of exists. The stat categories just get outlandishly crazy. Like, however you want to set your league up, you can do so. And so really what I want to get from you guys is I'm kind of curious, what is your best, or not your best, but what is your favorite format to play on Fantrax? So, Jason, I'll let you go first. I mean, they got Dynasty, Keeper, Redraft, Best Ball. I mean, what's your preference?
Yeah, I mean, they got every format you could want over there at Fantrax. And I think, personally, I mean, I like them all, but I think Keeper kind of gives you that nice fine line between Dynasty, or maybe that bridge between Dynasty and Redraft, right? Like, you don't want to maybe jump all the way into Dynasty. You've been playing Redraft for a while. I think Keeper kind of gives that real bridge in between. Like, you can still get that nice customization that Fantrax offers. You get, like, a lot of times I like, especially with Keepers, I like doing like auctions or like player salary leagues.
Yeah.
And when you do the Keepers, a lot of times leagues will do like increasing salaries every year or different ways to make the Keepers, maybe be a little bit different from any other league. And I think that Fantrax, they give you so much customization over there that, like you said, I've played on CBS. I've been on auction drafts and auction leagues in CBS or ESPN, and they just don't compare to Fantrax. It's like, and I think one of the bigger reasons too is Fantrax. It's the player pools is just unmasked. I mean, it's like unmatched. It's like it goes so deep. CBS always likes to claim that their player pool is super deep, but I think Fantrax has kind of proven, at least to me, that their player pool is top notch. So I think Keeper League would be my choice. Obviously, I'm a huge Dynasty guy too, but sometimes you like to take a step back and play a little bit more casual and go not quite Redraft, but Keeper kind of gives that option.
So what about you, JP?
So I hate being a guest on here and immediately telling somebody that they're wrong, but you're wrong. Obviously, the right answer is Dynasty.
Jason's used to being wrong. So
right. Okay, good.
He's got broad shoulders.
Okay, good. Yeah. Because there was only one right answer here. It's Dynasty. Frankly, why are you even playing if you're not playing Dynasty? Keeper, cute. Let's put our little toes in there. But if I'm going to spend an entire season, I need to keep all my players. I need to have it. And especially when you suck, you got to have a reason to keep playing, right? You got to be able to trade and build up and understand that you still have some work to do as opposed to just completely give up. And Fantrax, actually, I played for the first time this season on Fantrax, and I've already moved 3 of my other leagues to Fantrax. And a couple of the reasons why, most importantly, has been the customer service. We couldn't find a player, or we're trying to figure out if a player is going to be added to the player pool. And we're able to just get almost immediate response to those, to those questions. And I think that was such a key thing. We played at CBS, and we had to pay almost half of our, our pool of money that we were going to give out just to get kind of all the features that we are getting now on Fantrax. And then, Yahoo's been Yahoo, but I mean, Fantrax has just been awesome about that from the customer service side. But Dynasty, again, going by what you're saying, we do OPS, we do holds plus saves. Hold plus saves obviously is the only category. People that just do saves and holds separately, that's craziness. So again, right answers only, hold plus saves, OPS. But we just love that. And Dynasty, again, is the only right answer here.
I mean, so for me, I don't do much redraft. Only redraft that I do is like TGFBI, and I'm going to do our fantasy 6-pack series. I used to do keepers, but like Jason said, I think, keepers are kind of like dipping your toe in the water a little bit, you can, with keepers, obviously you can keep as few or as many as you want. So I've been in leagues where maybe you got a 25-man roster and you only keep 3 of them. Like, I don't know. That's hard to keep me interested. Or you could keep, 10, 12, 15, 20, do whatever you want to do. But best ball is kind of something that I've been getting myself into a little bit. I mean, I think best ball is kind of the best part of fantasy baseball and skipping the worst part. For me, the best part is drafting. Like, everybody loves to draft. Drafts are so fun. If I were to show you my Fantrax league list right now, it's like mock draft, 30 rock, mock draft, 30 for 30, mock draft. So, I mean, the mock drafts are fun. And so with the best ball, you basically can go in, draft your team, try to, there's a whole lot of strategy to it. So you try to be as smart as possible. And then once you're done with the draft, you just sit back and watch the fruits of your labor. No more, you don't have to do all the tedious lineup changes and figure out this and figure out that. You just draft, forget, and draft again. So that's fun. I bet last year was the first time I dove into best ball, and I enjoyed it. And so I'm looking forward to doing some best ball this year as well. So if you're not already playing on Fantrax, you can see at the bottom of the screen here, if you're watching live, we have our own special sign-up code, fantrax.com/fantasy 6-pack. If you're listening to this after the fact, it is in the show description as well. So, I mean, check it out. I mean, I honestly don't know how you could be disappointed, just because everything that you would want from a platform is literally there. So, I would highly suggest checking it out.
Absolutely.
All right. Dynasty Deep Dive time, boys. Miami Marlins is where we're going this week. Mr. Beckner, I would love if you had the honors here.
All right. I feel like I'm going to kind of hitting the trend here and keep hitting the pitchers, but I'm going to keep going this week with the pitcher. And my pitcher that I'm most interested in on the Miami Marlins is Trevor Rogers. A lot of times people like to want to do Sandy Alcantara. He's the number one guy there, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if Trevor Rogers eventually leapfrogs Alcantara as a staff ace. The former first-round pick, he did miss some time with some injuries here in 2021, but he still had a really impressive season. Finished second in Rookie of the Year behind only Jonathan India. He led the team in ERA. He had a 30.3 CSW, and then in his 25 starts, 7 of them he had 8 or more strikeouts. So I mean, the K rates there. Relies heavily on a changeup, throws it down into the righties and down and away to the lefties. The changeup rate actually is ranked as the 16th highest in all of baseball. And he's had great results with it. He led to a 33% whiff rate. So I mean, I'm just really impressed with what Trevor did in 21, and he's still young and up and comer. Obviously, he's not quite under the radar because I think if you were playing Dynasty, you know who Trevor Rogers is. But
especially after last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, what's not like? I think great 21, and I would expect even greater things going forward from Trevor Rogers.
I mean, I like Sandy better personally. Guys like Rogers do scare me because, once heralded prospect, seemed like it was going to be a bust, and then kind of all of a sudden just boom, there he is. And that always concerns me and makes me just think that that's going to be the outlier. So he's not a guy that I would buy. It's probably not even a guy I would hold. I think he'd be someone I'd be looking to sell. Kind of reminds me of, to a lesser extent, just because it wasn't the same name once upon a time, but reminds me of like an Dallas Garcia's, or a Dallas Garcia. And that's not a jab at you, Jason. That's just literally that's what it reminds me of. Just because I don't know what we're going to get from him in the future. He's got a lot more pedigree, so I don't blame anyone for thinking that 2022 is going to look a lot like 2021. I just don't trust it until I've seen a little bit more of it. But I mean, it's definitely someone that is is an interesting name right now in Dynasty.
I personally love him, right? I agree with you on there 100%. I'm just interested to see what becomes of, this team, because of, the new general manager has just done an amazing job so far in the first year. But, what kind of organization are we talking about? Are we going to be developing pitchers moving forward? Are we going to be developing, bats? Are we going to be an all-around organization? So this year 2, and again, I think you hit the nail on the head. This is the pitcher I'm really looking at. If he takes another step forward, this tells me a lot about the organization. It's going to really kind of help me pinpoint exactly what we're going to be looking at here. Is this another, great chop for just focusing on all these prospects? And maybe that's the change. Maybe they brought in some people that we don't know about that's going to help develop that entire system. I would hold. I'm not going to buy, but I'm definitely holding him in a bunch of different leagues.
All right, JP, why don't you go ahead with your Miami Marlin for the segment here?
Well, there's only one Miami Marlin, and that's going to be, so just real quick, again, with my insiders that I know, I went on Tinder, and I went to a whole bunch. I swiped right about 200 times, and I was able to match with about 20 people. And I said, who is your sleeper? Who's the person that you want to focus on with Miami Marlins? And nobody responded to me. But that's not really the point. The point is that I think we're going to have a shortened season. I think we're going to have a shortened season this year. So my focus has been over in Dap Scout's corner are people that have been fast starters, right? Because that's how we win, right? We're really going to look after that. And Joey Wendell, to me, is that fast starter for a bunch of different reasons. First of all, last year, if you look at what he did, right, he was the number 58 overall player in April, and then he moved up to number 40 overall player, right? If you look at the kind of overall stats. And we're looking at somebody who's hitting close to 859 OPS, and then in May, went up another 50 points, 909. Now, did he fall off in June, July? Absolutely, because again,
sure
you start hitting slumps in Tampa Bay, you start getting benched, because guess what? They have about 400 stars that they can bring in at any time, just off the bench, in the stands, in the car park, wherever. So I think somebody who's going to get a lot of playing time, who has a chance, who's, that's his base. He's not going to be able to be moved around. He's going to be a veteran presence. I think it's going to be a chance to see him really shine this next year. One last thing I really want to point out is he's 31 years old. Blew my mind. I thought the guy was in his 20s, maybe 27 at most.
I thought he was older. I would have guessed he's like 34, 35.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I just never thought. But we're talking about somebody who 6% walk rate, strikes out about 22%. So it's not crazy on any stretch of the imagination. But we talk about somebody who can hit about 330 and above on base percentage. That's somebody I definitely want to buy, and it's going to be cheap. And again, because of the fact I foresee tons of injuries in a shortened season this year, just like we had 2 years ago, and I've talked about that and wrote about that a bunch. I'm looking for, where I can buy value, and Joey Wendell's that guy.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think that you like Wendell because his last name is similar to Wiener, and I think that gets you excited.
Busted.
I can see you like doing a Google search for like wieners, and you're like WE, and then all of a sudden like Joey Wendell pops up. You're like, what the fuck is this? And then all of a sudden you're already kind of turned on, and then you start making bad choices.
Sure.
And before you know it, you own Joey Wendell in a 30-teamer.
Right.
I mean, that's how it happens.
And from a statistical perspective, I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't know how you can argue that.
I mean, what can I come back with those types of numbers that you just?
It's tough. I mean, I don't know. Joey Wendell is the guy that you really got to probably be in one of these 30-teamers for him to be a guy that I would even consider, because, I mean, I don't know. I don't expect you're going to get a whole lot from him. I mean, he's not going to. I mean, if I'm in 30 Rock and he is my corner infielder, I guess I'm not super disappointed. I'm not like thrilled about it, but I'm not like pissed either. But I would be looking for an upgrade. But I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean,
it's a good under the radar kind of name just to keep an eye on, especially like the point of your article of drafting him, hoping he gets hot,
Right.
and then flipping them to some sucker,
exactly it. Right.
and then taking that and running.
And how many people even knew that he was on Miami at this point? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people are like, "Oh, Joey Wendell, it's not on Tampa Bay anymore." No, he actually got.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Well, and so again, right? The whole thing there is, he should have, two, second and third base eligibility, and again, I just see that somebody who probably gonna get off hot, and like you said, right, we'll just trade him, especially considering it's going to be injuries hurricane next season.
I actually have a very sneaking suspicion, knowing what JP's connections are, that like he found out that he was going to end up being a guest on this episode, and he's like, all right, let's get him traded to the Marlins because I like Miami. I like the warm weather. And then that way, whenever Nick misses an episode for field hockey, we'll bring him on so I can talk about Joey Wendell. I'm pretty sure this was his plan set in place months ago. That's just that's what I think happened. I wouldn't put it past this son of a bitch.
Right.
I think
playing chess.
Happened. Yeah.
We're playing checkers. He's playing chess.
I'm like playing tic-tac-toe at this point. But I mean, that's good. That's good, JP. You should take more credit for pulling that off. That's very impressive.
I already have taken a ton of credit, so I'll just take a little bit more. That's
okay,
good.
Yeah, why not, right? So I'm going to cover Prospect like I usually do. I like to go a little bit, deeper than most. And so I was debating on a few different guys, and I decided to go with someone that I've seen play live quite a bit. And one thing that I do look for in prospects is I do give a little bit of a bump in value to guys that have some bloodlines. So I like guys that, their fathers played or they had family members play. And so I kind of like Griffin Conine a little bit. Of course, his dad was, Mr. Marlin, Jeff Conine. And I mean, he's got an interesting profile. I mean, it's mostly a power profile. This guy hits, ton of home runs. I mean, that's just what, if you get him, that's what you're hoping for. You're not going to get a whole lot else from him. It's a below average runner, but I think his defense is well enough that he could manage, an outfield spot without having to get platooned for just for the defensive purposes. He's got a strong enough arm that, I think that it profiles there very well. But I mean, that bat's either going to make or break him. Of course, being a power hitter, he's exactly the type of hitter with the type of approach that you would expect. Very pull happy, very, long, strong, swing because he's, looks like he's selling out for that power and strikes out a lot because of it. You're looking at, a guy that strikes out about 35% of the time. So, you're getting what you think with Griffin Conine, but, he's fairly cheap. I mean, in my dynasty rankings right now, I know I'm only showing 500 at the moment, but I've got him in at 702. So he's pretty far down there. If that's the guy you want to take a chance on, just strictly as, a guy that could come in and, hit you, 30 home runs or something like that, on a relatively consistent basis. You might be able to get lucky and, strike a little bit of fire there with him, but you have to know that that's about all you're going to get. His on-base percentage for his career in the minor leagues is .340, but it does kind of go down, as he moves up levels. His average isn't terrible, .246 as a career, but again, as he's moved up, it's definitely decreased. But I mean, I've seen this guy hit a few home runs myself. He's got tons of power. He looks the part. He's a big dude. I don't know. What do you guys think, Griffin Conine?
I mean, just the track record of former players' kids in the last couple of years. I think it's almost just on that alone is worth the gamble. But yeah,
and that's why I like the bloodlines. I really do focus on those guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice little trait to take into consideration. But yeah, I'm all in. I'm not all in, but I like Conine. Like I said, he's got the power, which has been exhibited in the minor leagues. So I think you could definitely find worse options in the system. So I like the pull on Griffin Conine.
Yeah, if we're looking for just cheap minor leaguers, I like it. And obviously, you want to take a gamble on anybody whose last name is a major leaguer. But what worries me about him, right, is he's hitting 46% ground balls. I mean, if you're going to sell out for power,
when it gets in the air, though, it's gone, right?
Right. But okay, so So in the 40s ground ball rate, right? His line drives was about 20%. But yeah, home run to fly ball rate was like 50%. It's crazy in Double-A. But that worries me, right? Like it'd be another thing if you're just Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I know made a huge step up in this category. So and when he went to skinny Vlad, and suddenly he was able to just do whatever he needed to do. So I would be looking for some type of swing change if he goes to drive line or something like that.
Gets that launch angle.
Yeah, and start seeing that launch angle change, right? And again, the other crazy thing too, I was expecting a huge pull percentage from him, right? He's only at 42%. Again, about 40%. So he's almost equal on all fields. I was really expecting a pull centric, power hitter profile on that. I was kind of, thrown off, but he wasn't. I almost want to see him become, sell out more for the power, right? If you're going to strike out that much, become a pull centric, hit guy, or do something there with a little bit of a swing change. That'd get me extremely happy. But yeah, overall, heck yeah, if he's got a major leaguer's last name in the last 10 years, you're talking about suddenly a top 100 player.
I'll tell you, if there's one thing I know about JP for a fact, it's that he likes his prospects like he likes his women, cheap.
True.
That's a fact. I think that's going on your tombstone, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
I'll text your wife. Hold on, let me text your wife and make sure she knows. Hold on.
But which one though? That's the big.
Hold on. You give me 1 second. Okay. All right. That's done.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to third baseman, which is why we're really here, I suppose. Got my top 5 guys here on the screen. I'll just rattle through them real quick here. You guys tell me what you think about the order, and if anything really stands out, anything that you would change or adjust. So top 5 Dynasty third baseman in my rankings, they've got number 1, Jose Ramirez, coming in 9th overall. Some guy named Wander Franco. Not sure who that is, but he comes in the top 10, 10th overall. Rafael Devers, I've got him 13th. Nick would absolutely love that.
Yep.
Manny Machado 4th at 24th overall. And then Alex Bregman coming in 5th there, 38th overall. So what do you guys think about that group of players and that ranking?
I'm not touching. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm not touching your first guy. I'm not touching him with the draft capital you have to give up for Jose Ramirez. He finally played a long part of his season, but he's always hurt. Look at his track record, and this last season just seems to be the perfect time to sell some Jose Ramirez. I just don't expect another season like this. To me, it's almost like Manny Machado, Orioles before he went to San Diego. I don't expect even 70% of what he did this past year. So that would be the big no on that part.
I like Jose at number 1, and I actually would probably bump. Nick would probably agree with me on this, but I'd bump Devers up to 2. I do like Franco, but I like what Devers can bring to the plate more than what Wander can, just in the sense that he's got more power.
That's tough, man.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah, I think it's like splitting hairs here in the top 5, right? We're just talking about tiers here, and I think to me,
you're absolutely wrong. Obviously,
Devers, still only 25, so it's not like we're talking about some ancient third baseman here, and he definitely brings back other than back 30 home run seasons. I think got OPS of close to 900. So I think I'd maybe move him up a little bit now. Maybe in 3 years when Wander Franco's 25. Maybe a little bit different story here, but I think at the moment I'd maybe bump him up to 2. But other than that, splitting hairs here in the top 5.
All right, so let's move 6 through 10 here. We got Austin Riley coming in 6th, 40th overall. Quite a big jump there, obviously, from where he would have been at this time a year ago. Spencer Torkelson 7th at 49th overall. Obviously, that's my dude right there. Even though I just traded him in 30 Rock, so go figure that out. If you want to know more about that trade, I will be on with Dynasty One Stop Commissioner's office. I'm recording with him tomorrow. So
nice.
I don't know, sometime next week. I know we'll talk about that because I turned yeah, well, I'm sure we'll talk more. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about that.
Eighth overall. That was such a nice plug.
I know, right? It's almost
seamless.
I know, you're
I should get paid. I should get paid to do this. As a matter of fact, Joe, this is my 2-week notice. 8th overall, third base position, Nolan Arenado. I guess kind of slowly working his way down, even though he had a great season, but working his way down this list. Another guy working the way down the list, Chris Bryant, 83rd overall. And then coming in at 10th, I've got Max Muncy, 94th overall. I mean, just going through this, top 10 list, third base to me is kind of weak. I mean, even guys up in the top 5 that I'm not super fond of, and then there's a lot of question marks 6 through 10. So I'm kind of curious what you guys think of 6 through 10. Maybe somebody that you think I missed that maybe should have been, in that last batch. What do you guys say?
Go ahead, Jason. I talked first last time.
Oh, no worries. No, I think, like you said, it starts to kind of fall off of a cliff here at third base. One of the positions that used to be like strong suit in fantasy baseball is now kind of turning the corner and becoming a bit of a wasteland after that first tier of guys. Like, would I be upset with having Nolan Arenado in Dynasty? Not really, but maybe, we're getting toward the same with Chris Bryant. But, Nolan Arenado's Mr. Consistency. He's been doing it, for a while now. He even proved last year that he can do it outside of Coors. Everyone claimed, what's he going to do when he gets out of Coors? He's only a Coors, he's only hitting Coors, but he's proven them wrong. So, but yeah, I mean, me, third base is something that's been once something that was a gold mine is now, been dug dry.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. So me, I would have moved Austin Riley up into the top 5. I'm really big about Austin Riley. I think he I chose him, in our, the 30 teamer, and definitely I think of him as a cornerstone for my team. Torque, I hope the best for him, right? But who's, my big thing is going to be obviously after the first 2 months when people start adjusting to him. He looks amazing. I traded for him everywhere I could. Thanks again, Dave, for not trading him to me. Jerk.
You're welcome.
But definitely looking forward to that. And then, like you said, it kind of drops off a cliff. I honestly thought for a second there when you had Chris Bryant with 83 in the parentheses, I thought that was his age. So I was a little confused there. But honestly, after Torque, I don't have somebody to get really excited about. Yeah, I mean, I'll have more Arenado. Would I get Max Muncy? Whatever. But I mean, then you start talking to me about like, oh no, Joey Wendell. I mean, do you really want, if you have to wait another, 50 picks to pick up a Joey Wendell and then, pick up more starting pitchers at this point or something, that I'd be fine with that, considering that I just don't see the, 3 category producer here consistently beyond an Arenado, right? Chris Bryant might, but he might be injured, Max Muncy, same thing. I'm just not that excited about it.
All right, so let's play a quick little game here. I don't know why I didn't think of this earlier, but I wanted to look up and see where I had Joey Wendell since he made his way into this conversation. Want to see where exactly I had him. Oh, hold on a second, Jason. We've got another fantastic comment. Are you sitting down?
Oh yeah, let's see it.
All right, this is very similar to last week's comment that I highlighted. You ready for this one? I could not agree more.
Yeah. I agree
right?
that I think that person definitely should have been in the top 10 as well. So, I mean, I agree.
If you're not watching this live, then I guess my only suggestion is start, I mean, make sure you're subscribed, obviously, to Fantasy Six Pack. Right. Turn on your notifications, because I'm not even going to read what this comment is. This is just, I feel like this is the kind of inside information that only those that watch the live stream deserve. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, but if you're just simply, watching this as a replay, then I guess you still get to see it. But if you're listening to it on like Apple Podcasts or something, you're just going to miss out on that. But that's crucial right there.
If you don't mind me just jumping in there real quick here and putting my 2 cents here, like that is something that I didn't expect to really tie into. That's a statistical piece that I just didn't see. And I'm so glad the comment really kind of brought it in. Yeah, that formula is kind of just over my head a lot of times. But now that I looked at it, I just, it's so obvious. I'm really going to incorporate that with a lot of my drafting.
That's big time right there. All right, so back to Joey Wendell. I'm going to let you guys take a stab here and see where he fits
17.
into my.
Wait, you're thinking about We're talking about third base
17.
only, right?
No, we're talking overall
Overall
rankings. So I will give you a hint.
Uh-huh.
I know. I will give you a big hint here. As you know, I still have my rankings. They actually go through 1,069 players now. However,
Nice.
I know, right? I only publish the top 500. Joey Wendell, surprisingly, did not make the top 500. That is your only hint.
So what you basically told me is I shouldn't follow your rankings. Got it. All right.
Right. So JP, since you're the guest here, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Did you want to take the first guess and
Sure.
put the pressure on Jason? Okay.
Yes. So because now that I understand how bad your rankings are, you carry the 6, and then I'm going to use the comment.
Here, hold on. Let me give you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me put that back up for you. There you go.
On. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
That helps a lot.
Hold on. Let me just so real quick. I know this is really good for audio.
Like when you,
this is great for audio. So I'm gonna just see if he comes this way and he does a nickel and brings a nickel D. I think it's 754.
754. Okay, Jason, you got to beat 754.
Wow. So like that was kind of the range I was going to go, but I'm going to go a little bit higher. Although I don't know the way you were trashing Wendell at the beginning. Maybe I'd go to like lower.
Yeah,
I'm going to go 575.
That's probably a record for getting the closest we've done on this, Jason. 565.
Oh,
wow,
very close. So
you were trashing him so hard. I thought for sure he was going to be like,
yeah.
Well, so if we go the names above and below him, we go. Well, we'll just kind of get the names right around him: Archie Bradley, Jordan Adams, Luke Weaver, Josh Naylor, Madison Bumgarner, David Peralta. So those are the kind of names I've got in the Joey Wendell range. We'll call that the Joey Wendell tier.
So third base ranking only. Where's Joey Wendell?
Well, I have to click on some buttons for that, JP. So give me a second.
I have to tell you, I'm a little disappointed that you don't have this pulled up.
Well, your wife's usually disappointed in me too. So
look.
Oh boy! Wow.
I'll tell you one time that I don't have a wife, and this is all you bring up now. Okay, I'm at the Peace Corps. Thanks.
All right, so I've got the third base ranking up. Jason, you said what number?
32.
All right, JP.
21.
You both can double your answer, and you'd still be way off. 77th.
How many third basemen do you
77
have?
Third baseman?
Yes, I have 133 third basemen ranked in my 1,069. Joey Wendell comes in 77th.
What are the other MLB names that are in that?
Yeah, tell me some other names.
Let's see. David Fletcher, Tommy LaStella.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty accurate. Yeah,
Ganser Alberto, Miguel Andujar, Scott.
Those
Kingery,
are like the
Dozier.
Spider-Man memes, all pointing at each other, like David Fletcher and Joey Wendell, and them. Those are all the same guy, just pointing at each other.
That's the range. That's the range.
Wow.
We're talking, boys.
And in AL only, I was all over some David Fletcher. So wow.
Maybe that explains your success in your dynasty baseball endeavors or lack thereof.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's get into prospects. We've already covered number one here, but top ranked dynasty third base prospects. Number one, Spencer Torkelson is obviously the only prospect we talked about above. 49th overall, and a tier all of his own. Even though, to be fair, I think probably as soon as next year, I think he becomes a first base eligible only player. But for the time being, the Tigers are pretending like he's going to play third base, so we'll go along with it. Then in a tier of his own, in the number 2 spot is Josh Young, comes in 115. And then we got two guys that are grouped together a little bit. Jordan Walker comes in third at 175th overall. Austin Martin comes in 220th. Slight little drop off here. Well, I guess it's not a huge drop off, but Miguel Vargas comes in 5th overall. So just like the MLB, rankings there, this is a little on the light side as well, especially if you were to take Torque out of there. But what are your guys' thoughts here? Top 5 third base prospects.
Like you said, after Young, basically 3, 4, 5, you could switch them up and I'd be fine with it. But I'm good with the rankings. So one thing I'm really interested in this season is what or who is Austin Martin, right? Going into last season, I was all into Austin Martin, and then he got traded, and then all these rumors came out that there was like questions on his bat and his game and all this stuff, and it just seemed to like suddenly it was put out in the universe and it like showed up on the stat line. I thought he was somebody else, and then last year he got exposed as somebody completely different. So I'm really going to be interested if something got broken and was fixed, or if that's really who he is. Because if that's who he is was last season, then I'd push him way to the back. Well, then again, I don't know who the other 6 through 10 is, but I'd push him further back because he was
stay tuned, my friend. Stay tuned.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe he's more considered a second baseman now, but Nolan Gorman, I wasn't sure quite where you had him on your list.
Well, Nolan Gorman did not make this list because yes, I consider him second base eligible.
Okay.
Let me just for giggles look up.
Yeah, I know that he was. They were moving him around the infield recently, so I wasn't sure if
Let
you had
me
him
look
at
up
second or
Nolan
third.
Gorman for you, and I'll tell you where
Dave
he
actually
fell.
ranked 4,200 second baseman.
Mhm.
And in that ranking, he was 3,922nd.
So he would have came in just behind Jordan Walker.
Okay, that makes sense because I was wondering between the two St. Louis guys who you would prefer.
They're basically ranked identically.
Okay, that makes sense.
I didn't consider him a third baseman for the point of this.
Makes sense.
That was great. That's a good question.
Yeah, but yeah, like I think just the JP's point, like Austin Martin, what are we gonna see from him this year? Is he gonna take that next step? So that's definitely like him at the number 4 spot there.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Austin Martin with our trade deadline show because that trade was a little bit of a just like a mind blown. Like, wait a minute, we all had in our mind what we thought Austin Martin's value was, and the team that employed him thought differently, it seems. So that really kind of blew our minds on that one. So that was interesting. Let's finish it up here with 6 through 10. Coming in at 6, we got Jose Miranda, 267th overall. Literally directly behind him in the rankings, Brady House, good 4th-year player draft target, 268th overall. Jordan Groshans comes in 309th overall. One of my favorite names and one of my favorite prospect targets right now is Ellie De La Cruz, 328th. He may also not be a third baseman long-term potentially, but for now he is. And then Brett Beatty comes in 10th at 345th overall. Some somewhat interesting names here, but it definitely lacks a lot compared to the other positions that we've discussed, Jason. Hold on a second. Hold on. This is going to change everything.
Okay.
I just want to hold on. This is breaking news.
Someone has a.
I've got another comment that's came in. I need to ensure you're both sitting down. I'm going to give the viewers a chance to have a seat as well.
Okay. All right. I'm ready.
Holding my breath.
Here we go. I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off, guys. Here it goes. What more?
Whoa.
What more can you say? That makes I thought that, but I did not have the balls to say it.
So are you going to change your rankings now?
Well, just an FYI. Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Again, if you're just listening to this on audio, again, go to fantasy6pack.net. You can find anything you need there. Go to our YouTube. Make sure that you're subscribed to our notifications because these are the comments that you come for. It's just that simple. That's mind blowing. Let's just let that sit because I don't know if I can handle that. That's too much. Wow, that's impressive. So, anyways, back to the rankings here, Jason. What do you think about this group of 5?
Yeah, I really like.
You can compose yourself.
I know. I was holding my breath for a little long there, just in suspense. But I really like the Brady House. I think he's someone that can maybe monitor going forward. Again, he's going to be in your first-year player drafts probably right now or in the near future. And after being drafted, he did play and made some appearances in the Complex League and actually impressed and showed a lot of advanced approach at the plate. I feel like he could be someone that you really see jump up in the top 5 even by the end of 2022.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're not unlike some of these positions. I don't know how many graduates we're going to have here. I'm anticipating that Torkelson will graduate.
That might be it.
I don't know about the rest of them. And then even in the 6 through 10,
I don't see many.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too confident in anybody. I mean, I know there's some guys here that obviously aren't going to graduate. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. This is probably going to be one of those where we can revisit this a month into the season, and this might already have made a huge shift.
Yeah.
I think the name here that stands out to me is Jordan, because of the fact that it's like an Austin Martin situation, right? Going into last season, I was expecting Austin Martin and Jordan to be making these huge strides, especially considering 2019, right? Jordan looked like he was in the midst of a breakout, got injured, only played 23 games. And, I just expected this huge kind of power surge, something to happen. And it just wasn't there this past season. I don't know what's going on in Toronto's minor league, but, that was another kind of really disappointing season. I still have them everywhere. I'm trying to buy them on the dip. I expect better things, but, I just don't know who he is again, right? I mean, is he this guy who was slugging, over 400, 450, almost 480, had a crazy OBP, or is that just somebody that was just starting fast and was taking kind of, a new approach? So really going to be interested to see who Jordan Groshans is this next season.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the rankings there. JP, I want to give you an opportunity. We not always, but we usually try to pick our next Dynasty Deep Dive on the show. As Jason knows, we've got a lot of clever and creative ways that we go about it. But in this particular case, because I don't know that you got the brain power to handle like these crazy complex things that we do, it's out of hand.
Right.
As you can tell, the viewers that watch our show, as you can see from the comments, it's next level,
right?
So I'm just going to simply ask you to pick the team we do for the next Dynasty Deep Dive, and we'll just go until you hit one we haven't done yet. And since I know you don't watch the show,
Oakland A's.
Jason, we're good.
Yeah, what's funny is that and I actually was thinking about them just because I was reading some stuff earlier, and I'm like,
it's my favorite team.
That. Really?
Yes.
Well, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, trust me, it's the same way, especially considering the teardown that's about to occur.
I was about to say, that's what I was reading this afternoon, was about the teardown that's inevitably about to happen.
Nothing worse than just understanding how hard it is for some billionaires out there. I feel bad for the owner. He really has to kind of rub his pennies together, and I just want the best for him. I don't really care about my players. I just want him to make money.
I feel like it's one thing. It's one thing with the Oakland A's. It's going to be a teardown. If you want to kind of one thing that Oakland is going to do, it's going to be start over every 3 years.
And that's the thing. I don't mind the teardown, right? Because that's kind of cool from a whatever. You root on the jersey, and I understand what I was getting into, but this seems so forced and it seems so stupid. Yep. It's a totally different thing. Like when we lost Kiambi because there's a bidding war, and Miguel Tejada and the Eric Chavez's of the world and Jermaine Dias. I got that. But we don't win trades anymore. We're not the geniuses like we used to be.
Right.
People that are using analytics, and we don't have the Brad Pitts anymore coming in and be like, right?
Jonah Hill giving you those great insights.
And, we're supposed to be able to corner the market and start, defense and grabbing somebody and Scott Hatteberg and moving him over to first base. We don't have that, right? And so there's nothing really hanging my hat on. We're getting rid of prospects like Jesus. And moving him to the Marlins, okay. So what does that mean, that he was terrible, or does that just mean that we can't develop pitching like we used to? And then so I don't know what we're doing. I honestly don't. It's hard to be an A's fan. It's one thing to be like, well, they're going to tear them down. Their low budget team. That's one thing. It's completely different when you have absolutely no idea what the rudder is. So sorry, that's my rant.
Oh, it's okay.
And then, Jason, I think we'll just maybe continue our trend here, work around the horn, and we'll do second base.
Sounds good.
I think we just have second base and first base. Well, second base, first base, and of course, the
everyone's
ever-popular catching position. I know JP is pissed that we did not do catchers on this episode.
Yeah.
That's actually the very first thing that he asked me when I asked him, to come on the show. He
Only
said,
because I was hoping
goes,
we were going to cover catchers, because I was going to be like, great, nobody who I care about, because
No,
whatever
that's
is
not
left
true.
of the free agent wire, that's what I'm going to get.
No, he said to me, he says, I will be on as long as I can have a 5-minute spiel about JT Realmuto. And I said, we're doing third base, so just knock your shit off.
I know.
I had to lay the law down. I didn't like it, but
right. Yeah, I was like third base, Dave. That's a base you've never been to in a relationship. So it's like,
well, what are you gonna do? I mean,
I know.
I focused on my balls, so
you do. I love it.
All right, well, JP, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah.
We'll definitely make sure to not do that again.
Thank you. I hope not. I hope I scared the heck out of you guys.
I think JP was our first ever guest on the On Deck Circle too, so you get those honors.
I mean, again, when Nick is out, at a rugby match, this is what we get. So,
hey, ultimate frisbee is important.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on.
So, Nick, let this be a lesson to you. Don't do this to us again. This is enough. So, thanks everyone for tuning in, whether it was live or after the fact. And we will catch you next week.
Thank you all.
Peace.